Welcome to Vesloria, a land of breathtaking beauty and endless possibility. Towering peaks, rolling valleys, and a dream to build something of my own. Over the next 100 days I'll explore, survive, and create a thriving farm in the heart of this incredible world. This is where the adventure begins. Guys, I am so excited for this one. Thank you so much for being here in our latest 100 days journey in Minecraft. This one is definitely something special. I mean, just look at how beautiful the terrain is in this world. I can't wait to get into it. You guys are going to have a lot of fun in this one. And I did leave a link to the map if you want to download it for yourself. It is currently free, so yeah, check for that in the description. And in case you guys didn't know, Minecraft actually starts on day 0. It doesn't start on day 1. So if you've ever watched a 100 days video and the creator starts on day 1, you're getting gypped a day. We don't do that here. We're starting at day 0. You guys are getting the full 100 days. And on day 0, we begin by taking down a tree and collecting up some logs. And using those logs, we create ourselves a wooden axe as well as a wooden pickaxe. A little later on day 0, we find our first custom structure of the map. This map is littered with really unique custom structures and dungeons and all sorts of stuff. It's really cool. But this is the first one we found. We go and check out the barrel. There's some buckets of water as well as some fish, which is awesome. And in the chest next to it, there's some raw meat. Then I decide to go inside and find a ladder. And as we go down, you can hear the spiders hissing at me. I decide to get out of there ASAP. I have no armor yet, and I did not want to die before day 1 even started. And as we continued to explore, I found another one of these structures. Again, I was way too chicken to go in and try and battle any monsters inside yet, but this one also had some chests and a barrel outside, and this barrel was loaded up with good items. We got some iron, some diamonds, obviously sticks are useful. It was awesome. And continuing to explore this beautiful map, we came across another structure. This time it was a campfire, and inside a barrel I found a bunch of gunpowder, as well as some music discs, bones, bread, and redstone. So yeah, really good start so far. I then took some time to enjoy the beautiful wildlife. Then I came across this really cool custom ruined portal. There was some gold chest plates inside, so I decided to take one of those and throw it on for some early game armor. After that, I found a boulder with some stone, so I grabbed all the stone I could so I could upgrade to stone tools. Then I found another abandoned portal-type structure, grabbed up a couple of the materials inside, including a soul lantern, as well as some iron and coal. There was also some gold on top that I would grab later. I also grabbed some horse armor, as well as some obsidian and iron nuggets from a chest that was located at the structure. Then I stumbled across this absolutely gorgeous stream flowing downhill. My goodness, is the terrain generation in this world so cool. Absolutely awesome. And as the sun went down on day 0, I found this gorgeous plains biome sitting at the top of some really steep cliffs, and I thought this would be a perfect place to set up our base, with gorgeous views all the way around. As the night continued on, I grabbed some pumpkins. Then I found the cutest donkey in the world. After which I came across this gorgeous cliffside village. Here I stole a yellow bed. Sorry for interrupting your sleep, buddy. And then I used that bed to go to sleep myself and put an end to day 0. On day 1 I continued to raid the village for all of the useful items I could find. And then I trapped some villagers in place in case I ever needed to use them in the future. As I continued exploring, the world somehow got even more beautiful. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, just absolutely gorgeous, and we even found another baby ass. And then I luckily found some sugarcane, which I was struggling to find so far, so it was nice to finally find some. Obviously farming is going to be a huge part of this playthrough, so really wanted to get all the farming materials I could. Then I got back to the place where I decided I wanted to build my base, and put a chest down as well as a workbench. And I got to work flattening out some of the land so we would have some space to build. I then took down one of the few trees that was in this area. And I absolutely loved the gorgeous custom trees that they had put throughout this map. The only problem is the leaves did not naturally decay, and I was not a big fan of ruining the gorgeous terrain with a bunch of floating bushes, so I did have to take out all the leaves manually. I then planted some oak trees so I wouldn't have to worry about that issue in the future. I then placed down some torches to light up the area around the spot that would, in the future, become our cozy farm. I then was harassed by this undead, so I had to make sure he was re-dead. And then continued to work through the night cleaning up the terrain in the area. On day 2, I ran into this guy who tried to explode on me without my consent, so we had to take him out with an axe. And then I worked on collecting up some more logs. And then I ventured into my first cave of this world. Not long after, I grabbed some coal, as well as some iron. I then spent most of day 3 arguing with Mother Nature using a shovel. And by the end of day 3, I had created quite a large flat area. On day 4, I decided to do some more exploring and found this absolutely massive ravine slicing through the landscape. I then found this cool structure called Monument of Lost while I was exploring, except a spider tried to gank me, and we weren't going to let that happen. I then found a well-like structure with a trapdoor, and beneath it were ladders going all the way to the bottom, so I decided to venture on and see what was down there. Yeah, it was a lot of spiders, so I ran away like a scaredy cat. I then found a ruined portal and decided to collect up some of the materials, including some mossy cobblestone. Oh shit! And so I made it a whole, well, not even a whole 4 days. I mean, if we're counting day 0, I guess you can say I made it a whole 4 days before dying. So on day 5, we went back to the spot of the crime scene and were able to get most of our items back. And not far from the spot of the crime scene, I actually found 5 blocks of raw iron, which was absolutely massive. As I continued to explore, I found this absolutely gorgeous cherry grove biome at the base of a mountain with a river running through it. Then I found this tent city with pillagers everywhere. There were pillager spawners inside some of the tents. Unfortunately, it didn't have very much good loot, so I stole a couple lanterns and carried on. I then stumbled across this really cool custom biome. To me, it looked like a dried riverbed, or I guess I should say mostly dried up, as there was a bit of water in the middle still. And after all the adventures of day 5, I was completely exhausted, so I went to bed for the night. And as I spent most of day 6 terraforming and collecting wood from the saplings we had been growing, I want to take a second to congratulate Rabbitix. He is one of the valued community members here at Have a Chill, and he actually won our first ever community challenge. If you guys are curious about what that is all about, go ahead and head over to my community tab. You'll find the posts regarding the community challenge there, and I do look forward to having another community challenge soon. Let me know if you guys have any other ideas for what that community challenge could be for. And we continued terraforming well into the night. I know that this hasn't been the most eventful first 6 days of a 100 Days episode, but I promise it'll all be worth it. You'll see all the progress that's made shortly here, so yeah, don't worry. But first, more terraforming. And more terraforming, but at least this time it's not dirt, right? And then guys, as nighttime approached on day 7, more terraforming. And on day 8 I wanted to break things up, get you guys some more exciting content, something that you would really be interested in, so I decided to harvest a bunch of logs. I'm not even going to show you guys what happened the rest of day 8, as you can probably guess what it was. And guys, I got a new mod, it's called Flashback, and it allows me to create these awesome cinematics. Really excited about it, and yeah, definitely look forward to some more of these. And it was only day 9, I still didn't even have a base set up, and I'm already getting raided by pillagers. So obviously, we deal with them the best way we know how, with an axe in hand and by making them teamfire each other. And by this point you might be wondering why I'm still using iron tools. I decided with this playthrough I really did want to take it slow. I didn't want to rush for diamonds first thing. I mean, we did find 3 earlier, but I hadn't used them yet. I wanted to save them. But yeah, I just wanted to take the playthrough nice and slow, kind of create a nice and chill playthrough for you guys to enjoy. And along those same lines, I actually decided I was not going to enchant any tools until at least day 100. That decision was definitely hurting my iron supply though. By this point I had probably gone through at least 20 iron shovels, but that's no problem. We were in it for the long run. By day 11 we had carved ourselves out quite a large amount of flat area to work with, and things were really looking good. I had planned to use a lot of spruce wood and spruce logs for builds in the future to get our cozy farm set up, so on day 11 I planted our first spruce sapling. Then I got to work harvesting a bunch of blocks from a nearby cliff that I was going to use to build a retaining wall. On day 12 the rain stopped, making it a beautiful day for nature but a terrible one for the undead. And then I began construction of the retaining wall I mentioned earlier. On day 13, my iron shovel count was up to about 34 as I continued to flatten the area on top of the retaining wall I just built. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself. And as the sun went down on day 14, to break up the monotony of all the terraforming, I decided to collect some more spruce wood. Like I mentioned before, I was going to need a lot of spruce wood for projects to come in this episode. At the end of day 15, I planted a small farm and planted a potato that we had received from raiding the village earlier. On day 16, I had finally had enough of the iron tools and decided we need to find ourselves some diamonds, so I got to work on building a mine. And a little later on day 16, I decided I wanted a really cool way to get to the mine. I had built the mine into the side of this cliff, and thought it would be really cool to build a pathway into the cliff that would allow us to access the mine and get us access all the way up to this top part we had terraformed earlier. So yeah, I worked on that pathway for the rest of day 16. And once I had carved a path into the cliffside, I decided to use some oak slabs to make the transition going up and down a lot smoother, as well as to add some texturing so it wasn't all just stone. And then I created a bit of a fence using oak fences as well as some oak trapdoors. Next up I added some lanterns for lighting. I had also placed down some oak pressure plates which added a cool effect, except they were very annoying to listen to every time you stepped on one. And by day 17 the pathway was finished. Have a look. After that, I added a path going to the mine entrance, as well as decorated the mine entrance a little bit. This is the final result. Let me know what you guys think. And here's me walking down it from a first-person perspective. I really am happy with the way it turned out. I added in a couple flowers and a little bit of decorations that I had on hand. I also planted some spruce saplings around that would hopefully grow into some nice, well-placed trees around the area. But yeah, overall, really happy with the way this little mine turned out. Next up, I worked on expanding the mine into the depths of the world. Another really cool thing about this custom map is the cave generation, and the way ores spawn is also all custom. So yeah, you guys will see more of that in a little bit here. Oh god, not again. Whew, close one. And a bit later on day 19, we worked on harvesting this gigantic spruce tree. Then on day 20 I was running low on food, so I went back to the same village from earlier and grabbed a bunch of hay bales so I could turn them into bread. And while there, I clearly found the home of what must be a basketball player with this ridiculous door. Obviously I had to try opening it. Unfortunately it just broke. And while in the area, I figured I may as well steal a couple lanterns and raid a few chests I had missed the first time around. And just off the shore of the village, I found a couple pirate ships that I definitely wanted to go and check out. And in the second pirate ship, I found this chest absolutely loaded up with lapis and emeralds and iron nuggets and a single diamond as well. Awesome find there. And as we continue to the lower levels of the ship, I found another chest with some coast armor trim as well as a buried treasure map and a bunch of paper. And as the sun set on day 20, I made my way back towards our base while admiring the absolutely gorgeous terrain of this world. On day 21, we headed back into our mines and found this massive cave system. We collected a bunch of iron and coal, and hopefully we were going to find some diamonds. And this stupid skeleton kept shooting me while I was trying to mine some iron, so obviously we had to teach him a lesson in respect. And luckily he led us straight to some more iron. Unfortunately no diamonds this time, but we were able to collect a bunch of coal and iron. On day 22 we worked on sharpening up the look of the edge of our cliffside. And this carried well on into the night of day 22 as well. After it was all said and done, it looked like this, creating a much cleaner look that I was really happy with. A little later on day 23, I decided I wanted to create a sort of fence along the entirety of our cliffside, and to do this, the first step was placing down some composters that I would put leaves on top of to kind of create some greenery along the whole cliffside. I think it looks really good in the end. I then experimented with some different fence designs connecting up the composters. This one was not the winner. A little spoiler alert there. Eventually, I ended up deciding on a mix of cobblestone walls and spruce fences. I then expanded this design along the entirety of our cliff face. Overall, I was very happy with the way it ended up looking. And on day 25, I had finally crafted myself a set of iron armor. I did keep the gold chest plate that I had got on day 0, though. A little later on day 25, I created a pathway connecting the staircase to our mine all the way up to our retaining wall. I then adjusted the retaining wall, adding a little bit to it in order to create a smooth area where we could connect our path all the way up to the upper level on top of the retaining wall. In the end, it looked like this. And then I spent the next few days on the construction of our first home. It only took me 27 days to start building a starter home, but here we are. As you can see, the mines look absolutely awesome, as well as our terraforming with the retaining wall and everything. And yeah, enjoy. Alright, and after completing the main structure of the building, on day 31 I went ahead and added some details. And continued to do so into the night of day 31, adding some more windows. And on day 32 I added some spruce leaves, but unfortunately I was not happy with the way it looked, so I ended up removing them. But I still did want to incorporate some leaves somehow, so I ended up replacing these stairs with composters and then 2 leaves on top of each one. Then on day 33, it was time for another trip into our mines. And I continued expanding the mines deeper and deeper. Then I found a cave system and grabbed some coal, as well as some iron. By the end, I had grabbed 35 coal, 33 iron, 29 copper, and some other resources, and we headed back to our base. On day 34, I experimented with some different floor designs to go inside of our house. This is what I ended up settling on. And I also linked up our house to the path system. On day 35, I finished off the floor of our house. And then I got to work designing the interior. The first thing I did was created an upper level that would later become our bedroom. Then I created this workstation, kind of kitchen-looking area with a bunch of workbenches, as well as furnaces and lots of barrels for storage. And on day 36, I continued working on sprucing up the interior of our new house. And I was really happy with the way it was coming along. I am terrible at designing interiors. This was the first time I had tried anything like this, so yeah, bear with me a little bit, but yeah, I was pretty happy with it. On day 37, I expanded our network of paths alongside the edge of the cliff. At the end of day 37, I was excited to test out our new bedroom. And here's how our base was looking after finishing the extra pathing. On day 38, I took a moment to enjoy the gorgeous view from our mine entrance. And after not much happened on day 39, I spent day 40 transferring all of my materials into our new house. I'm gonna walk you through all of it. You're gonna see every single item put into one of these barrels. So yeah, really enjoy the next 1 hour of footage here. Just kidding, obviously I'm not going to make you guys watch all of that boring footage, but on day 41 we started off by harvesting our potato farm. Harvested some spruce logs. And a bunch of other boring stuff, just harvesting logs, sorting our storage a little bit more, stuff that I didn't really want to make you guys sit through. So we skip ahead to day 42 where we once again enter the mines. I found another cave system and found our first redstone. We actually got redstone earlier from adventuring, but this was the first redstone we had found in a cave. Then I introduced my axe to a zombie's face. And another zombie heard good things. He also wanted to meet the axe, so we took care of that. And as I ventured further into the cave, you guys are gonna see, but this is absolutely insane. I found so many diamonds. This is part of the custom terrain generation that the person who built this map used, obviously. Diamonds kind of spawn in these crazy patches where there's just a lot of them in a small area. I believe they're called diamond fossils. But yeah, it was really cool to see. Definitely set me up with diamonds for a good long time. As you can see, we had collected 58 diamonds from that, as well as 42 iron, a bunch of redstone, and lots of other good stuff. On day 44, using fences and spruce logs, I started marking out some areas where we were going to build some farms. And on day 45, I started planting down some sugarcane at our sugarcane farm, but unfortunately I only had 7, so it was going to take a while before we could fill in this whole thing. On day 45, I started placing down pumpkin seeds in our pumpkin farm that I had spent the day building. On day 46, I began plotting out our absolutely massive wheat farm. I started off by digging some holes where we were going to put water. I then placed leaves in every single hole. I used leaves because you can waterlog them, and you can also walk on them, so there's no risk to damaging any of the crops while you're running around, and you're also not falling into water while you're trying to harvest the farm or plant seeds or whatever it is. So yeah, it's a nice little trick. And so naturally, next what I did was went around and waterlogged all of the leaves. And on day 47, I got to work plowing the entire field. On day 48, I planted every last one of the seeds that I had to my name. I had multiple stacks, but unfortunately it still barely put a dent into the farm, as this thing was just absolutely massive. Just a huge field. Later on day 48, I continued to grab as many spruce logs as possible, as we were going through wood like no tomorrow with this build. On day 49, I continued to harvest and replant all of the sugarcane and pumpkins that were growing in. And then I marked out an area for a pond that I wanted to build in front of our house. I wanted to make the pond quite deep, as I know that you have a better chance to get the more rare loot from fishing when you are fishing in a bit of a deeper area, and I definitely wanted to use this pond for fishing. As you guys know, I do love fishing on this channel, so yeah, we continued to make the pond deeper well into day 50. And on day 50, I finished working on the pond, and I will show that to you guys through a time lapse. And with the pond all finished up, day 51 was mostly spent just harvesting crops and then replanting them, whether it was sugarcane, pumpkins, or wheat. I just spent the day filling out my farms, as yeah, we still had a lot of seeds needed in order to fill out all of the farms. And on day 52 it was more of the same. I really just wanted to get all of the farms filled in so I'd have a better idea of how everything looked with the crops all in place and everything growing nicely. And on day 53, I was sorting out some of my items in our house when, yeah, I heard a big boom, so yeah, that definitely scared me a little bit. It wasn't even raining outside, so I was very confused. When I got outside, at first I didn't see anything unusual, just our nice new pond that we had built, but then I heard an arrow land beside me. I was really confused, but still didn't see anything until I turned around and found a skeleton riding a skeleton horse behind me. There was 3 in total. 2 were still on the roof and 1 was now chasing me. I then killed the skeletons, but was careful not to kill the horses. And then I made a fishing rod so I could start fishing for the first time in this world. And yeah, the main reason for doing this was I wanted to get a saddle so that I could grab one of those skeleton horses as my own. Unfortunately, after fishing for the better part of 2 full days, we ended up using up our entire fishing rod, but still had no luck in getting a saddle. Day 55, we continued to harvest and replant all of our farms. And later on day 55, we headed back into our mines, grabbing any useful resources we came across, but also focusing on getting a bunch of deep slate, as we were going to be using it for the roof of a future build. We ended up getting a really nice haul with another 23 diamonds, 3 stacks of iron, a bunch of deep slate, and lots of other good stuff. I then added a bunch of lanterns around our house. And my original plan was to add some lanterns on top of all of the waterlogged leaves in our farm to provide some lighting, but unfortunately it does not let you place lanterns on leaves. I did, however, add some lanterns to our pond. And on day 57 I wanted to finish filling in our wheat farm once and for all. But too bad I still had nowhere enough seeds to get the farm completely filled in. I was starting to regret building it as big as I did. And on day 58 I continued to fish, trying to get a saddle so we could tame one of those skeleton horses before they despawned. I'm not sure if they do despawn or how that works, but yeah, I didn't want to risk it. But after a full day of fishing and a spider trying to jump scare me, we still did not have the saddle we were hoping for. So yeah, we ended up calling it quits after this and heading to bed for the night. And on day 59 I began building the frame of what would eventually become a barn. I wanted a place to store some sheep and some cows, because yeah, I definitely wanted leather. I was definitely going to need some wool, so yeah, I wanted to get that going. And then we completely fail a water bucket clutch. Luckily I wasn't too high up, but you can see the frame that we had finished building, and everything was looking good so far. And on day 60 I began construction of the roof. Then while I was grabbing more spruce logs to finish the construction of the barn, I got raided by pillagers. Luckily they didn't pose too much of a threat to us at this point. Next up I got to work placing in the walls of the barn. And on day 64 this is how it was looking. And then I coaxed some sheep using that good wheat back over to our farm. Next up I grabbed some cows. And just like that our barn was up and running. On day 65 I continued to fill in our wheat farm. Then I placed down some hay bales in front of our barn to give it a nice aesthetic touch. Day 66 was an awesome day as I was finally able to finish placing down all of the wheat. And I capped off the day by collecting even more spruce logs. Day 67 we got back to some fishing. But unfortunately we still did not get a saddle. On day 68 I grabbed some obsidian from one of these cool little lava pits that spawn in this world. Then we celebrated day 69 by making ourselves a diamond chest plate and a bunch of bread. Then I made a journey across the river to get a view of our farm from the other side. On day 70, in front of our house, across from the pond, I put in a campfire, as well as some benches and some vegetation. Yeah, just to kind of make the place feel a little bit more alive and to fill in the space a little better. I then added another campfire next to the entrance of our mine, again just to kind of sprucing the place up and make it feel a little bit more lively. And like always, pause the video and let me know if you think the left skeleton or the right skeleton will win this fight. And the right skeleton it is. On day 71, I built some horse stables. And then I forced the sheep to make some love as I continue to get our animal populations up. After that, I capped off the day by doing a little bit more fishing, but unfortunately still no saddles or anything of note. So on the morning of day 72, we tried again. And luckily this time we got a saddle first try. So obviously I sprinted over to the skeleton horse, put the saddle on him, and rode him back to his new home. And because I had 2 stables, I figured I may as well grab another horse. And because I had some horse armor laying around from one of our earlier adventures, I decided to throw that on the horse as well. It looked pretty cool. On day 73, with future expansion in mind, we decided to terraform a bunch of the land behind our house. This was much more fun to do with a diamond shovel, let me tell you. And on day 74, we continued the terraforming. And on day 75, the terraforming was complete, but I wanted to build another retaining wall, and I did not have the materials in order to do so. So off we went on an adventure to find some of those materials, like cobblestone, andesite, that sort of stuff. And with the materials collected, it was time to start work on the retaining wall. And this is how it looked when it was all finished. I then had the idea to build a path that goes inside of the retaining wall into like a little cave, and I wanted to put my nether portal inside of this. So that's what you see me doing here, is kind of marking out a little bit of a pathway that's going to lead down into a cave below the retaining wall. Next up, I built a sort of pathway going down a couple layers that would lead into the cave that I will be building shortly. I then marked out a path leading down into the cave. I will connect it with our pathway network shortly. Then I placed some slabs leading down into the cave. We still had to build the cave, but you get the idea. Next up, I hollowed out a little tunnel that would act as the cave. Then I got the portal in place and lit it up. And after decorating, this is how it ended up looking. I was really happy with the way it turned out. On day 79, I linked up the path leading to our portal with the path along the cliffside edge. And here is the final result. And just to add a little bit more detail, I ended up placing in some spruce fences along the outside as well. Later on day 79, I continued to increase the population of cows, as I was going to need a lot of leather to get the enchanting table going. Then we spent all of day 80 fishing. I was hoping to get another saddle, or if not a saddle, perhaps some enchanted books, something along those lines. But yeah, spent the whole day fishing. It was nice, peaceful, relaxing, but unfortunately didn't get anything too interesting. I don't think the pond is big enough or deep enough to get the rare items I was hoping for. I did get an enchanted book at one point, but other than that, yeah, it wasn't giving us too much in terms of good stuff. On day 81, I had inspired myself and had some really good ideas for some builds I wanted to do over the next 19 days, but unfortunately it was going to take a lot of spruce wood, so yeah, we spent the first part of day 81 harvesting a bunch of spruce. Then behind our house in our backyard, I built a circle made out of spruce fences, and then I broke each of the 4 sides open so we would have a way to go in and out. And basically this was just something simple. All I wanted to do with this space was make a bamboo farm. So we place in our one and only bamboo shoot and wait for it to grow so we can continue expanding this farm. I then created a pathway around the bamboo farm and linked it up to the rest of our paths. And I continued breaking down any bamboo that was growing and replacing it. By day 83, I was able to fill in the bamboo farm, and we just sat down, relaxed, and watched it grow for a little bit. It was about time we took a break. On day 84, we continued to breed up our cow population. Then on day 85, I began construction of what would become a water chute as well as a water elevator. I wanted a way to easily access the river at the very bottom of our cliffside, and this would be a perfect way to do that. So I kept digging all the way down until water level. As you can see, it was actually quite a long ways down, and I hadn't even reached water level yet. On day 86, I had reached water level and began making a tunnel towards the river. Digging this area out had taken multiple days, but on day 88, I had finally completed the tunnel and reached the river. I wanted the floors and roof to be made up entirely of stone or cobblestone, so I spent the next little while digging out any areas that were made of diorite or ores or dirt or anything like that. Well into the night of day 88, I had finally finished, and this is how it looked in the end. On day 89, I began construction of the water chute as well as the water elevator. And for the walls of the water chute as well as the water elevator, I used a checkered pattern of cobblestone as well as spruce planks. By the night of day 89, I had finished. And then I got to work with some plans on how to make this tunnel actually look good. I then made this recessed archway as the entrance into the tunnel from the river, and got to work placing spruce plank archways all throughout the tunnel. Next, I placed a bunch of dirt along the bottom of each archway. And then to add in some nature, I placed spruce saplings along with lanterns on each of the dirt shelves I had built. On day 91, I tested out the drop chute, and it was working perfectly. And then I added some spruce stairs to each of the archways to give it a more rounded look. I also put spruce stairs along the edge where the walls and the roof meet, also helping to create a more rounded look and make it look like a more complete structure. Here's how it was looking so far. I then used spruce trap doors to cover the side of the dirt. I really think this made a big difference. I also added spruce trapdoors to all of the archways to give it an even more rounded look. And here is the final result. Overall, I think it looks really good. Let me know what you guys think in the comments and if you have any ideas on how to improve the look of the tunnel. On day 94, I built a bit of a gazebo over the water elevator and placed some lanterns along the outside. Then I linked it up to the rest of our path network. And as day 94 came to an end, I started working on the construction of some docks outside of the tunnel we had just built. And on day 95, I continued construction of the docks. I then used spruce trapdoors as a sort of fence or half wall around the edges of the dock. In the end, this is how it looked. I then placed some boats down at the end of the docks to make it feel lived in and a little bit more alive. And on day 97, I had a surprise barbecue for the cows. They brought the beef, I brought the axe. Then I harvested up a bunch of sugarcane. And it was finally time to place down an enchanting table, all the way on day 97. Although I must say that I am glad I chose not to use any enchanted tools or armor throughout the course of this playthrough. It just kind of forces you to slow it down a little bit, really enjoy the small things, and the terraforming sucked, I'm not gonna lie, but it's done now. After that, I placed down an anvil. And then on day 98, I spent the day just kind of prettying up the farm. I used a bunch of bone meal to kind of grow some grass and flowers. I killed a rogue cow that was annoying me. And yeah, overall I just kind of added some details. Tried to make everything look nice before day 100 came. Then I decided to name our horses after some of the active community members we have here at Have a Chill. If you want a chance to be named after an animal in a future episode, make sure to comment and subscribe. But first off, we have Imulock, and then next up we have Rabbitix, who is the one who won our community challenge that I was mentioning earlier. So yeah, congratulations guys. Hope you enjoy your horses named after you. Then on day 98, I made all of my sheep naked and confused, just for the fun of it. Using the wool, I made some paintings and placed them around our house. Then on day 99, I decided to head down to our docks and go on a boat ride to enjoy the absolute beauty of this gorgeous custom map. It is called Vesloria, and again I have the credit to the creator as well as a link to download it for yourself in the description. I highly recommend you guys go check this map out. Maybe make your own playthrough on this map. I'd love to see some screenshots of your guys' own playthrough on this same map. But yeah, so enjoy the boat ride and some scenic views. And now that it was day 100, I was finally able to enchant some tools, so I decided to go ahead and enchant a pickaxe. Silk Touch, Efficiency 4, Unbreaking 3. Really good pickaxe, probably would have preferred Fortune, but what can you do? So we decided to try again with 2 more pickaxes, just to see what we would get, in case we do decide to extend this series to a 200 days episode. And if you guys want that, let me know. Debating it right now if I want to continue this series or not, so your feedback would be much appreciated. But yeah, we get Unbreaking 3 on that one, and then Efficiency 4 and Unbreaking 3 on this one. So nothing too crazy, but you know, a couple enchanted pickaxes, we'll take it. I then decided to use the rest of day 100 to kind of do a bit of a tour of everything that we managed to accomplish. So we started off by going down our pathway that led to our mine. Of course, we have the little campfire outside and the mine entrance there. Overall, super happy with the way this turned out. And yeah, the mine goes quite deep. I believe I dug it all the way down to Y -53, so definitely a deep mine. But yeah, as you go up this staircase, you have a terrific view of the terrain all around, including this absolutely gorgeous river you can kind of spot between the 2 trees here. And then, of course, we have our horse stables and horses inside, named after a couple of our community members. Then we have this absolutely massive wheat farm. I really love the way it looks. It'd be super cool to see a farm like this in real life, just built into the side of a massive cliff. And of course, we have a pathway stretching all the way down here. There's another view of that gorgeous river. And after the wheat farm, we do have our pumpkin farm. If we ever get into some villager trading in the coming episodes of this series, again, if we do extend it, the pumpkins will definitely come in use. Of course, we had our sugarcane farm there. In the distance, you can see the bamboo farm. And down this pathway, of course, is where our nether portal is. We never even went inside the nether this playthrough. Again, that's something we can do in the 200 days episode if we decide to go that route. But yeah, continue kind of walking around exploring. We have this other retaining wall that we built, the second one that we had built, the bamboo farm in the middle in the nice circular pattern. Here we have our water elevator as well as our water chute. So we quickly drop down here. And then, of course, is this gorgeous tunnel that we spent a lot of time digging out and building, just so we had a way to access water level down below the giant cliff our base is built on. And of course, at the end of the tunnel, we have the docks. This is where, obviously, we exited for the boat ride we went on yesterday. Now, back up top, we have a look at the campfire that we built beside our house. And, of course, the nice pond that we did a lot of fishing in. Then we go inside and check out the interior of our home. Of course, we have the enchanted table, which is the newest addition. But yeah, lots of storage, lots of barrels, a little bit of greenery inside. We did add some pictures quite recently as well. But yeah, overall, really happy with the way it turned out. I've never really built interiors like this before with the fake furniture and counters and tables and stuff. So yeah, for a first attempt, I was really happy at how it turned out. Then we have our bedroom area up top. I'm not sure if I showed it on camera, but I recently added those 2 bookshelves when we made our enchanting table. And yeah, just kind of really enjoy the view of everything we have. Of course, we built the barn with the cows and the sheep inside. But yeah, overall just gorgeous, and what a view from up here. Oh my goodness. And as we do one more flyover of our base, our cozy farm we built on this beautiful custom map, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's watched. Obviously, if you're still here, you're a true fan, and I really appreciate it. I've been super sick the last 2 weeks, so if I sound a little bit different, I apologize. But yeah, let me know if you want to see 200 days in the same world. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. I do read every single comment, and I will see you guys in the next one. And if you haven't checked out my 1 block video, I'm going to link it right now, so go check that out too.